Do you actually need a pop filter? Much like most questions around audio gear, the answer is not really straightforward. It's literally a yes and a no. Let me explain. Now, for the most part, you can get away with not using a pop filter with mic technique. You see, the popping sound is caused by your breath attacking the capsule of the microphone and overloading it. Since audio is basically just vibrations and your capsule can't tell the difference between an actual sound and wind, well, it interprets it all the same. But with most microphones, you can just go slightly off axis and voila, your offending breath just sweeps by the capsule. This has been a technique that most people use with their microphones to great success, but there is a caveat here. And the reason why every studio should own one of these. You see, some mics hate it when you go off axis and you lose a ton of depth to your voice as soon as you turn slightly away. This is what I ran into with the XM8500 here while recording vocals for our upcoming video. Get subscribed. You don't want to miss that. Okay then, if you need to buy one, let's talk about what you're looking for. Believe it or not, these don't all work the same. And for some, cheap might not be the answer. Let's start out with the fabric options, generally the cheapest ones you can find. This one costs under $10 at Amazon, and for the most part, it works quite simply by blocking or diffusing the breath while allowing sound through. Now, the absolute cheapest are just a single piece of fabric stretched over, but if you spend just a touch more, the fabric will be doubled up with a slight gap in between. These are very effective and will work for most people just trying to limit pops while using a microphone. There are some drawbacks though, if you want to call it that. This style is known to filter out some of the higher frequencies, though the effect is very limited and most people won't be able to hear the difference. In fact, an old trick that high-end studios have applied since the dawn of recording is to stretch pantyhose over a coat hanger. It isn't perfectly transparent, sure, but it does get the job done and no one's able to tell in the end product. However, if you do want to move up in the world and damn it, you want all the frequencies you can get, well, then you get into stuff like this, a metal pop filter. Not much more expensive. This one cost me under $50, I believe, but it does work a bit differently. You can't really see it, but the holes on this are on an angle. So when your breath hits it, the idea is that it redirects your breath away from the capsule. And you can feel the difference when you test it out like this. There's still some diffusion for sure, but for the most part, there's much less frequency loss when you're using this. And this does have shortcomings as well though. While they do tend to be well mounted, it is actually possible to get resonance off this since it is metal. I've never had to deal with it, but maybe some poor mounting or something that could probably happen to anyone. Now, as you move up the price ladder, things do get a bit more elaborate. Though I wanted to buy one of these, I can't seem to get them in Canada, but this is supposed to be one of the clearest sounding pop filters on the market. If you want, check out Banjo on Podcastage. He uses one on a lot of his videos. Though be warned, the price point is teetering on the line of dumb. Now, the biggest factor in determining which is best for you might be the cleaning process. You see, the fabric ones are just bad and they can get really gross after a time. However, with the metal ones like this one, well, you just wash it like a dish and there's no issues. This one might seem like an obvious answer, but humor me, please. Most people will tell you to place the pop filter as close as possible to the microphone without touching, and that's really the only answer. And for the most part, it is correct. But for some really poppy people like me, you might need to play with it just a bit. Backing it off half an inch isn't going to impact your sound much, but it might save you from editing out pops later on. So take your time with this. The further away from the mic that the pop filter is, the less chance of air getting through to the capsule. However, you don't want to get too far away because that also takes you further from the mic and that will impact your sound a great deal. I will also say, make sure your face isn't touching the pop filter because that could actually impact the sound as well. Just the sound of your face scraping up against a pop filter. Now, if you're one of the lucky ones that can use a pop filter right on top of the microphone, be careful it isn't touching the mic. You want a bit of space to avoid any weird sounds coming through vibrations between the two surfaces. And you can get away with the fabric style touching, but definitely not with this, the metal filter. Just keep that in mind. I mean, really, if you aren't super worried about a 2% drop in the higher frequencies, just get a cheaper one. I would say avoid the ones with only one layer of fabric. Go for something with 2 layers at least. But if you really want to drop a few bucks to get something that might last a bit longer and is easier to clean, go for the simple metal one. This particular one is from Gator Frameworks and it works awesome. I'll have a link down below. Cheers.